Since 80% of population identifies with faith, it's a huge group of population in general, and politicians are of course interested in opinions of voters and also have concerns they share with the general public. Therefore, this constituency is important. It is movers and shakers. It is people that live ordinary life, that can improve their life in regards to sustainable manners, in regards to many aspects of society. That's why the dialogue between countries, governments, faith-based organizations, multilaterals like the World Bank is important to move society forward in the right direction. One of the big challenges we face when it comes to alleviating poverty, investing in sustainable development and so on is that countries often commit to nice targets and goals, but the delivery mechanism afterwards in living up to those commitments can be a bit challenging for governments. So the financial policies doesn't always align with, for example, the commitment to national determined contributions, the NDCs, or the overall delivery of the Paris Climate Accord or the UN 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So we need governments to commit to their obligations. We need also governments that are funding partners to deliver what they need to do. So this is a match between both the global north and the global south in actually living up to commitments. And for institutions like the World Bank or other multilateral institutions, we are of course a player in deliverance in regards to what the governments prioritize. So that's why this is an important setup of connectivity. I think that religions are often a vehicle to reach the end user in a completely different way than a government can or global organizations. So having a dialogue between multilateral organizations or governments with religious entities or in a forum like this is key to both get messages to end users, but also to understand better what is actually needed to change the lives of the most vulnerable. So the World Bank is committed to end hunger. It's a goal for us. We cannot increase food production if it's not in collaboration with stakeholders on ground. We need change of habits, change of education, change of use of, for example, fertilizer or pesticides. That's very practical. But we also need trusted voices on ground to do some of this. And faith-based organizations are trusted voices. So we need to have conversation around important topics with faith-based organizations. And that's also why the World Bank is committed, and a member of PART is committed to the UN work among faith-based organizations, and that we for more than 20 years have participated in these dialogue forums. Listen, I'm an eternal optimist, and I believe in the change that we create on an individual basis, but also in connecting with other like-minded people in regards to the political sphere, the financial sphere, the faith sphere, and so on. And yes, not all numbers are good, but we see that there are progress on a number of areas globally when it comes to poverty, when it comes to increase of food production and so on. But listen, I'm not naive, and we of course need to keep the pressure on decision makers in regards to take the right decisions to reach the UN Sustainable Development Goals, to end hunger and so on. And this is an ongoing battle, but I think if we start with ourselves and our own actions and kind of advocate for creating better, circumstances for people that can do the same, then we at least take steps in the right direction. Is it enough? Well, the future will show. But I am optimistic in regards to being able to change some of these things. I have for a number of years been engaged in feeding people in Washington, D.C. that are experiencing homelessness. So to me, this very practical means caring for those that need to be cared for. And I can do only so much as an individual, but I can do something. So that is one way of leaving no one behind for me. I'm also engaged work-wise in structural changes to those that are most vulnerable and most poor in the world through my job. So that is a more structural plan, but I also need the individual touch. That's why I engage in social matters like that. I think it's very important that faith-based organization documents their own impacts when it comes to sustainable development and how they can create change with their own investments, divesting from fossil fuels and so on, but also they own land, they engage with their followers. So you walk the talk. When you walk the talk, you are a more credible advocate for political change as well, or change to the way institutions work globally. So bringing the best from the G20 Interfaith into the G20 sphere, acknowledging the role that faith-based organization can have globally, but also being very mindful that if you want to ask something of others, in this regard, governments and political leaders, you really have to showcase with your own actions that things can be changed.